What's going on, guys? Gabe with ReviewDork, and here we have the HP Envy X360 2-in-1 with a 15.6-inch screen, 8 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigs of storage. We did that in one shot. That was cool. Okay, so yes, hardly amazing specs on paper, but we'll get back to that in a second. The number of SKUs HP has available in the Envy lineup is pretty overwhelming, from the Core i5 with 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigs of RAM, and they mated that to a 250 nit 1080p touchscreen display. Now that model goes for about $700. You can also max out the system with a 10th generation Core i7 10750H, 520 gigabytes of storage, or an SSD, 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 4K AMOLED 400 nit display, and all of that is powered by an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060 with Max-Q design, pushing the system well into HP's own Spectre X360 lineup and setting you back a pretty hefty $1,500. Now back to the specs on this device, because what makes this laptop special, at least in my opinion, is that it's home to an AMD Ryzen 7 4700U with a base clock of 2 GHz and a max boost up to 4.1 GHz, not to be confused with the Ryzen 9 4900HS found in the Asus G14, which has a higher base clock and a higher max turbo, and also a much higher TDP of 35 watts. Let's talk about max boost for a second. Max boost for AMD processors is the maximum frequency achievable by a single core on the processor running a single threaded workload. Max boost will vary based on several factors, including but not limited to thermal pace, system cooling, motherboard design, and BIOS. So it's really up to the manufacturer, in this case HP, when it comes to the chipset's ability to flex its muscles. Okay, so I know a lot of you are wondering, like, okay, Gabe, what the hell did you just say? Well, in layman's terms, if you have 8 cores in your CPU, one core is basically going to flex itself. It's going to boost itself to a higher clock. Not all of the cores are going to boost at that higher clock. And yeah, I guess that's the best way to explain it. Applejacks, does that make sense to you? Then take those glasses off, looking all smart over there, just wondering, like, look at Mr. P fucking body over there, looking all smart. By virtue of using the Ryzen 7 4700U, HP has declared the system an ultrabook of sorts. With a TDP of just 15 watts, this system dabbles in a little bit of everything and targets the productivity user, the media consumer, or someone who would otherwise buy a tablet from Samsung or Apple, but do not want to stray away from the Windows environment or the Windows ecosystem. This is a full aluminum build, which makes this device feel premium, and its footprint, it actually makes the system feel much smaller than what would you expect from other 15-inch models. At just 3/4 inches thick when closed, and 9.6 inches in depth and height, and just 14.9 inches wide, the elephant in the room, that unlike the HP Spectre, this laptop is user serviceable and upgradable, meaning the RAM is not soldered in. And I've noticed a lot of YouTubers, and I'm not going to say names, but that's why I hire an assistant so he can take on the legal liability. But Applejacks, who might that YouTuber be?
I think her name was Mobile Tech Review.
Now, there was an assumption that you could not upgrade the RAM or just the RAM for the most part. NVMEs you can upgrade. What you would need to do is to pry away the rubber footing that you guys see here. And there are 4 screws along underneath this footing. You will also need to unscrew a single screw that you see down in the lower center of the laptop. I bent this lid in efforts. It was like a UFC fight trying to get this damn thing off. But we're gonna go ahead and bend it some more, then I'm probably going to give this away. So if you end up receiving this laptop, just know that it was authentically destroyed by ReviewDork. But when we look at this, at first glance, it looks like a heatsink. But when you take this off, you're introduced to the two SODIMMs. We have a 51 watt hour battery, and you also have your Wi-Fi 6 chipset. Now, you can also upgrade the storage if you need a little more than 512 gigs of storage, but the drive currently in the system is in fact pretty good. Again, for the price point, with 807 megabyte per second write and 1,402 megabit per second, or excuse me, megabyte per second read. According to our system test, this is right up there. I mean, it's not an Evo, it's not that fast, but again, respectable. And finally, weighing in at 5 pounds, it's far from light. You'll be lugging around with a 65 watt charger with HP fast charge. And with that, you can get up to 50% on a 45-minute charge. And HP claims up to 10 hours of battery with casual usage, and that's about as much energy I get after a cup of coffee. In regards to IOs, you have two USB Type A ports, one USB Type-C and HDMI out, a headphone, microphone, combo jack, and a full-size SD card reader. The display, it's serviceable, but not the best. And not sure if you can see this on camera. We'll try to get the reflection out of the way. At 250 nits and 1080p resolution, you can see where HP began cutting costs. With only 63% sRGB coverage, which translates to 45% NTSC. This laptop does not moonlight as a colorist device unless you're colorblind, and then you got an excuse. But the display is touchscreen and supports HP's Active Pen. And this one here comes with the HP Spectre. Keep in mind, the HP MV does not come with this pen, and I believe you can order it from hp.com for about $49.99. It's fully articulating, that's why it's an x360. We have a highly responsive trackpad and a full number keypad, and the keys are actually shockingly good. I mean, it's crisp, they're non-mushy, you know, they feel tactile. You also have a privacy button, and let's see if we can get this there. The privacy button for the webcam, and you can see the little dot show up. And by the way, when your kids are on and they're at school, make sure you're dressed. Please, I've been seeing way too many videos. Applejax, have you seen those videos?
Thank God I haven't.
This is a 720p camera. It's a 2 megapixel camera, but it gets the job done. Now, my one gripe, the fingerprint reader. It's almost as if HP engineers threw a dart at a keyboard target and said, okay, it looks about right. Just go right there. It's perfect. Looks about right. I mean, I would have preferred it somewhere maybe up here, or maybe even right next to the trackpad. When it comes to CPU benchmarks, the Ryzen 7 4700U does not disappoint. In Cinebench R20 or Release 20, we got 2,769 points in multi-core and 452 points in single core, and that is pretty impressive considering this is not a gaming rig. This is not a gaming rig, okay guys? It's not a gaming rig. So what about video editing? Well, the system does not come with a discrete graphics card, so it relies on integrated graphics of the Ryzen 7 4700U, and on the bright side, it is faster than many of the popular integrated graphics processors, such as the Intel UHD of the popular Intel Core U processor series, or the Radeon Vega graphics of the older generation Ryzen chips. That felt like a mouthful. It just felt like a mouthful. Now, upgrading the RAM on this system should be your first chore. Since Radeon does not have dedicated memory, it will use system memory. And this came with 8 gigs of RAM, so good luck, upgrade it. I mean, it's a cheap upgrade. Now, you will be more than likely limited to editing in 1080p. But again, if you're just starting out on YouTube or you just want to dabble in video creation for YouTube videos, hey, 1080p works. In fact, we record these videos in 1080p and upscale to 4K. So, yeah. Now, with that being said, I know I said this is not a gaming rig, but, and yes, there is a but. You can install BlueStacks, and I'll include a link in the description. Now, BlueStacks is an Android emulator, and from there you can install Xbox Game Pass. And what this does is it allows you to stream and shift the workload to Microsoft servers while allowing you to play some of your favorite titles, even on a laptop that isn't designed to game. So that's the beauty of streaming. That's the power of streaming. Streaming is the future. This system, you know, for the price and for what you're getting, and to stay within the Microsoft ecosystem and not having to purchase a tablet. And it's crazy, right? Because tablets want to be laptops these days, and laptops want to be tablets, and you just can't make everybody happy. But for the price, yeah, it's a respectable machine. Now, I picked this up at Best Buy. I'll include a link down in the description. I got it for $8.99, which is still cheaper than Samsung's Chromebook, and actually more powerful and upgradable. So again, if you're looking for a laptop that's within the budget realm, meaning less than $1,000, that feels a little bit like the HP Spectre, and you're not going to get the 4K display, so just count that out. But I think that's overrated, especially for a 15-inch display. I mean, you would literally have to pull out binoculars to be able to see the pixels on a 15-inch display. But this gets the job done, and I like it. And I'm also going to give it away. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, and I'll include that link down in the description. I'll announce the winner within the end of the month, and we got some more important things to do, like get an iPad Air and compare it to the iPad Pro. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that versus. This was fun. I know it's been a while, guys. This is Gabe with ReviewDork. I'm signing out. Peace.